Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to present here today. My name is Ross Stackhouse. I'm the project manager for 1028 Market Street, and I'm here today on behalf of project sponsors Tidewater Capital and Warhorse. I'm about to spend the next 6 minutes describing the last 4 years of my life, so I appreciate your bearing with my speaking quickly. You're probably familiar with our project site. It's on the north side of Market Street between Taylor and Jones, and what we've always found most compelling about this location is that it sits at the nexus of the burgeoning mid-market corridor and the historic Tenderloin neighborhood. That intersection of bridging old and new, of honoring tradition while envisioning the future, is something that we've always found to be an important theme of the project. We first acquired the vacant and blighted site you see here in May of 2013. The facade was adorned with the signage of former uses like a billiards hall and strip club. The interior was filled with rats, needles, and almost a decade of grime. And the sidewalk outside was a stretch of Market Street that people from and around the neighborhood tried to avoid if they could in general. So our team set out to do two things initially. The first was to get to know people in the area so we could hear their stories, learn its history, and find out what they hoped its future would look like. And the second was to figure out what would be feasible to build here and reconcile that with what we were hearing from the community. That was how we first developed the concept we're here to present today, a rental apartment building with on-site below-market rate units and ground floor retail. The combination of dense, mixed-income housing to address the city's shortage and neighborhood-serving retail to increase vitality and safety in the area was something people generally agreed would be a welcome addition to the block. Overall, the project is 186 units with a mix of studio, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments, including 25 on-site BMRs. The ground floor includes 9,000 square feet of retail facing onto both Market Street and Golden Gate Avenue, and we have parking for 42 cars and 143 bicycles across the basement and first floor. In our initial discovery phase, we also learned about San Francisco's entitlement timelines. All in all, it has taken us 3 years from our first application to get here, and if we're approved today, it will take another 2.5 years before we break ground. So we took, before the building opens. So we took it upon ourselves to treat that amount of runway we had as an opportunity to approach the development process differently. The first thing we did differently was open a restaurant, but not just any old restaurant, a food hall with 6 small businesses, outdoor seating, and a beer and wine bar. We called it The Hall and spent 8 wild months designing, permitting, and building it with incredible collaboration from the city and the local community. We then used the hall as the headquarters for our community engagement effort for the larger project. By hosting meetings, fundraisers, happy hours, and live performances out of the space over its 2+ years of operation, we've built strong relationships with a wide array of neighborhood stakeholders and gotten feedback on every aspect of the building, from its ground floor retail to its public art and even its architecture. The hall has been a gratifying project to be a part of, and it's had a remarkable impact unto itself. We served as a small business incubator, helping 11 food truck restaurateurs test out brick-and-mortar concepts, and we're proud to say that 2 of our current vendors plan to open their own restaurants after we close the space. We've also enlivened the block with food and entertainment, serving over 300,000 customers during the past 28 months, which has had a radical impact on the safety and vitality of this stretch of market. And lastly, we've invested in the community by contributing over $1 million between the net cost to build the hall and the direct and in-kind contributions we've made to local organizations while operating it. Here are just a few of the local nonprofits we've supported. Given that the Tenderloin is the highest concentration of families of any neighborhood in the city, I'd like to highlight several of the youth and family-serving organizations we've been able to assist, including Larkin Street Youth, Code Tenderloin, United Playas, the Hamilton Family Center, and Youth Art Exchange. The hall has also served as a community engagement forum for the larger development. We've hosted monthly community project update breakfasts with over 350 attendees and had almost 300 meetings with groups and individuals on top of that. We've also held 3 jobs fairs with 30 companies and 325 job seekers serving youth and people trying to break the cycle of incarceration. In total, we've garnered nearly 150 letters of support from a wide array of stakeholders. Here's some highlight photos of the events we've hosted, including our monthly project update breakfasts, nonprofit happy hours, our holiday toy giveaway, and public input forums on the building design and programming. Supporters of the project include individuals, nonprofit agencies, unions, resident groups, local businesses, and arts organizations. We've collected 139 letters of support thus far, and listed here are some of the people and groups who will be here today to speak on behalf of the project. For our public art selection, we held an open RFQ and received 133 submissions from all over the world. A panel of local arts professionals pared that down to 8 finalists for the RFP stage, and we held public voting on those 8 finalists. The winner received the most public support and showed an earnest commitment to community engagement like our own. Here's a rendering of the piece, which is called Infinite Reflections by artist Sanaz Mazanani, a local Bay Area artist. And lastly, I want to highlight some of the public benefits that come with the project, including over 200 jobs, 25 on-site below-market rate housing units, and almost $20 million of public investment over the next 10 years. The community feedback we've gotten has been instrumental in crafting this package of benefits. We've heard consistently how powerful the Hall's ethos of inclusiveness and engagement has been, and we're eager to carry that forward by partnering with Market Street for the Masses to preserve affordable housing and neighborhood-serving retail in the Tenderloin. We've also heard how the issue of public safety bridges across different stakeholders, and we're committed to fostering a secure and active public realm on both Market Street and Golden Gate Avenue. Lastly, we are excited to honor the rich and diverse history of the neighborhood by developing interpretive programs that will honor the surrounding theater and loft and LGBTQ historic districts, relying on the same public input methods that gave us our public art piece. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Senior Project Architect Strachan Forgan.
Commissioners, as we approach the architectural design, we spent a lot of time as a team walking on Market Street, observing the strong character of the buildings around there. What you see on the slide here is the Golden Gate Theatre, which is just a couple of doors down, and it exhibits the strong base, middle, and top, strong vertical elements which are key to the historic theatre district, and strong corner treatments with a cupola in this case. Context also gave us some clues to the materiality and color. Though the building is set back from the corner, given the protected nature of the historic building next door and the transference of its development rights, we knew that the lot line in this case would be a highly visible facade, and in essence the building would act as a corner building due to its height. The building mass is split into two parts, an outer shell that directly relates to the ordered punched masonry expression of Market Street and creates a base middle that relates to the proportions and datum levels of the surrounding context. A setback crystalline element creates a top, whilst also revealed at the corner to create a strong vertical element that marks the residential entrance. Overall, the interlocking of these two forms creates a more varied and interest mass that mitigates the scale of the project and also provides well-proportioned elevations. The two pieces are treated with different materials to further strengthen the composition. The interlocking of these two pieces provides a nice three-dimensionality as you observe the building from various viewpoints around the intersection on Market and on Golden Gate. Finally, I'd like to go through the floor plans. We have a one basement level, which provides, we think, an appropriately minimal amount of storage parking in this transit-rich, centrally located site. The basement also contains bicycle parking and building mechanical spaces. At the ground floor, we have a series of retail spaces that activate both Market Street and the Golden Gate Street Avenue. And residents can enter the building from lobbies on either side of the building. The typical residential levels above also contain a gymnasium with an associated outdoor terrace with views onto Market Street. The upper two floors are set back, and those units are afforded generous terrace spaces. And finally, the rooftop provides a large outdoor garden amenity with panoramic views.